Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military, veterans, and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Faust. You know, the funny thing is I thought this was not my mic. A little spoof on the reality of streaming, so try to get everything as well as you can. So, welcome to the boardroom in our War Hero Superhero episode, and we're going to be talking about today being intentional in the boardroom. Our boardroom goes over and changes on us. It changes on an average about 9 times in our lives from 18 until about 65 or 70 years old, depending on what you go over and do in life and how early you can reach that retirement. The thing is we're going to be talking about specifically is where's the next step to cultivate your passion so you can get to the boardroom of your choice compared to be stuck in other people's boardrooms. So I want to give you a little story. On a Sandy deployment in 2007, I was early married and wrestling with a lot of things. I was wrestling with my marriage. I was wrestling with what I was supposed to do in my life. I was wrestling with my brother's death. And during that Sandy deployment, I was just wrestling with a lot of things. And during that time, I asked God, and this is my walk, on what am I here for? What is my passion? What is my calling? Why did you keep me here? He told me he kept me here to teach the world better relationships. And initially the passion turned on and I was all ready to go. I called my wife. I said, I know why God kept me here. I know what my next calling is. I know what I want to go over and do. And my wife said, whoa, slow down, Pony. You got to have a plan. So the thing was that I found my passion, but I had no vision. So what happens from then on forward, 5 years go by, 4 kids, 3 moves later, I finally start my passion. I took that calling, kazone, dream, destiny, whatever word you want to go over and use, and I went over and started my passion. I got out of active duty military with, I think it was about $12,000 to $15,000 of a severance. My TSP, I moved myself to Arkansas and went over and started that passion. And I thought to myself, the best place to do that was with churches. And there is 3,000 churches between the base of Little Rock Air Force Base and where I lived in West Little Rock. And I'm like, 3,000 churches, if I even hit 1%, and 1% accepts me to go over and help them teach the world better relationships, and I focused on marriage at the time specifically, then I would go over and be successful. Why did I fail? I almost went homeless in a matter of from July 1st of 2012 until about September. Why did I have to, as we talked about yesterday, go through 70 jobs in 2012 to 2019? Well, I'm going to reverse engineer. We're going to do this together. Let's reverse engineer how I could have cultivated my passions to fruition other than cultivating my passions to demolition, because I basically destroyed almost everything and almost lost my marriage in the get-go. So I want to reverse engineer 12 things that I should have done and changed and help you as you find your passion, help you to cultivate your passion in a way that's executable and actually applicable. So let's go into it. Reverse engineer tip number 1. Money is oxygen to a passion. I initially had about $15,000, $20,000, but the thing of it is that that's all I had. And my average expenses at the time were $4,000 normally. So then you go over and I add business expenses into that factor. It went by real quick. July 1st was the first day I was out of active duty. By basically September, October, I was out of money. And that oxygen went away very, very quick. So the reverse engineer tip number 1, money is oxygen to a passion. I should have took a part-time job. I should have worked some side hustles. I should have maybe went back to work and see if I could have found a flexible job. I did after the fact, but it took me getting to $300, crying in my chair. Then my disability came in, and then providentially I got a job. That was a week on and a week off. Now I had money for my passion And I had also time freedom because I'd work 12 hours a day for 7 days, but it was pretty much standby work. During the day, quasi busy. The weeks I worked nights, it was dead. I was busy from like 7 p.m. to like 9, and then it was smooth sailing the rest of the time. So first off, money is oxygen to a passion. And if I would have went over and just worked that job or found some other side hustle job, I could have kept the oxygen in my passion and I could have kept on going. Because when you bring anything new to an environment, it takes time. And in that time, we need to have money. So remember, money is oxygen to a passion. It doesn't mean it has to come from you. It can come from other resources, but some exchange has to happen to keep your passion going. And money is a big breath of life into a passion, especially if you're going outside the passionate walls of a corporation, if you're trying to build your own. Number 2, so reverse engineer tip number 2, spouse being on board skyrockets your passion to reality a lot quicker. I kind of dragged my spouse into this. I mean, I had the calling in 2007. She kind of said she was kind of on board in 2008. It was almost a year before we had that conversation. I tapped my wrist. I said, it's been 8-9 months. And then the 5 years, the 4 kids, and the 3 moves later, she was on board, but she had her concerns, but she still followed me. But it was draining a lot faster. If she would have been on board, I would have had the softer side of Sears, because anytime she has onboarded with me, you can even look at back my metrics on videos, you guys tend to watch more when there's more people in the video, even when I do interviews. So my wife skyrocketed my business about 250% every time I do something. Even sometimes even just talking about it right now, the number just went up. It went up 100% just in that one moment. So if you're going to go over and bring your passion, especially if your passion is something that's going to be a boardroom change, you want to have your spouse on board. That skyrockets your passion really quickly. If you're single, it's not so much, but you want to make sure that anybody that's in your life that's involved, and it can even be business partners, whoever it is, the people that are going to be in your life through that transformation, you want them to be onboarded. They don't have to agree with everything, but they need to be onboarded. The more passionate that they are with you, and if they're actually working with you, it's way more successful. Power couples do way better than people that are single. Reverse engineer tip number 3, timing and having time is key. I went over and I launched from moving from Ohio to going over to Arkansas. I'm orchestrating a move, I'm getting everything set, I'm getting my kids located in school and everything else, and then I'm coming into a place that it was July, bringing stuff to churches. You don't bring stuff to churches or businesses typically that late in the year, especially if you're brand new. Typically the seasons of speaking and teaching and education and those types of things is right now, like February 15th. I'm starting to get calls again for government contracts. Between February 15th to October 15th. That's key. You got to know your passion and where the times are at. If it's retail, for example, it's going to be from like November to like January where the bulk of your money is going to be made. If it's an evergreen product, great. If it's a consumable, it's all year long. But timing is actually key, and actually then having the time. If you go over and you don't have the time to go over and to do it, it's going to be really difficult. Now, it doesn't mean a lot of time has to be spent, but at least consistent time. If you're going to get into podcasting like we do, if you're going to go get into digital TV, if you want to have help in that, we can help you through that, is that you got to have that time. For me, I have to invest about an hour or 2 hours a day. Each day I'm recording to brainstorm throughout that time of the day. Then I have that time to go and record. So no matter what it is, it's timing, and having time is key. Because if it's not the right season for you, don't go jump into it. If you don't have the time, consistently be committed, it's no point. It's kind of like if you went over and brushed your teeth. If you brushed your teeth when you felt like it, they'd be in horrible condition. You have to be consistent in what you're doing. Misbrushing your teeth once, not that big of a deal. Go over and miss it cumulatively and you're doing it happenstantially, it's going to be bad. It's the same thing if you're going to take a passion and make that reality, especially if it's not in a boardroom that's already established. Other boardrooms that are established, they might be more flexible. So timing and having time is key. Reverse engineer tip number 4, you need people that see your passion. So whatever your passion is, it's usually going to be a product or a service, or maybe it's a nonprofit. Maybe it's just something that you're bringing in the business. It could be just an idea. You could be an entrepreneur. It could be going over and you're trying to get a GS job or going to the next level. No matter what the passion is, you need people to see your passion. If you're not exuberating your passion, people don't understand your passion, people don't understand your goals, your dreams, whatever you're cultivating to, it's only going to last so long. Even in an interview, they want to see your passion. They want to see your fervency. They want to see that you're actively involved. If you're not, and you don't have that passion to go over and do it, and people don't see it, it doesn't go over and last. And especially if you want people to go over and support, people got to understand it. People need to go over and see, and you need those people to see your passion. When I went to the churches, sometimes I would get, after so long, I would get caught up in the frustration that they didn't see my passion. They saw my anger, they saw my frustration. So naturally, those churches, when I call it, nothing. But they also need to understand it. They need to see it. They need to be able to be put it on themselves. It's like when we watch a commercial. We put ourselves in that shoes, and that's why we buy it. Why buy the Coke? Because you see the passion for it. Why go over and buy the bed? Because you see the passion for it. All these things that they see the passion, and then you're transferring that passion for other people to either go buy or to adopt or to be following you in the direction that you're going for your passion. Because a lot of times you're not going to be able to be a soulpreneur forever. Even in the master classes that you go over and do, which is a great site that we're going to start using, we have those people in the master class that are passionate about building courses, and that's our people that see our passion, that they go over and empower that. So even as a soulpreneur, you might not have direct people that see your passion, but you need to have some sort of people to see your passion, especially if it's a product or service that you're wanting to bring to the world. No matter what it is, people need to see it, because that's when it thrives. Reverse engineer tip number 5, a vision or mission statement that is clear helps uplift your passion to reality. My original company's name was Perspectives and Reflections. I said I teach the world better relationships. What does that mean? I really didn't have a mission or a vision statement per se. I told them it was anybody that had relational problems, from marriage to sex to finances to corporate relationships and everything else. I really didn't have a vision. I really didn't have a mission statement. And when a confused mind hears something, it does nothing. It did absolutely nothing. I would go from network meeting to network meeting in Arkansas. And then I tried to reboot this back in Washington. And then even in Arizona, briefly, did an old model of Perspectives and Reflections. I had no specific vision. I had no specific mission. And things weren't clear. So nobody came to me. People didn't even start coming to me until they know that. And even if you think you have a clear vision or mission statement, it's got to be clear to the person that you're delivering it to as you go over. And that's what makes the passion come to reality. Everybody knows what BMW does. Everybody knows what Coke does. Everybody knows what GovX does. Everybody knows what McDonald's or Burger King. You know their vision. You know their mission. You know that. There might be some sub things you don't know, like UPS is actually about synchronization, and actually Walmart's about logistics. But the upfront vision and mission of those companies, including Amazon, you know what they are. It's clear to you. You order the products. You order the services. You know what, quote unquote, Facebook represents holistically. Now, we're not going to get into the next step there because we're trying to uplift things. But if once you have that vision or mission statement, it will uplift your passion to come to reality. So that's reverse engineer tip number 5. Reverse engineer tip number 6, your 5 W's and an H. And if you're my style, I definitely want you to listen to this, is that when you're as passionate as I am, you're outgoing, you're people-oriented, you're in the limelight and everything else, we tend to go feel things through instead of thinking things through. And the people that think things through sometimes think them too long and they don't do anything with their passion. So these things need to be asked, is that the 5 W's and H. If you haven't asked who you're serving, what you're doing, why you're doing it, when does the person come to you, when is this supposed to be the best time to go start, who, what, when, where is the best location? And that time, Arkansas wasn't the best location. I was an East Coaster. I was military. I was away from the base. That where location was horrible. I'm a guy that wore combat boots, khaki pants, and a button-down shirt, or this type of stuff in this gear. And it wasn't the right audience to go over and deliver it to. And I didn't ask those questions. And even when people asked me those questions, when a ministry said, like, hey, we love your passion, we see that you're talented, but the two things right now is you need 200 people to go ask for donations, and then you'd have to get to $90,000 a year. So they asked those questions. I didn't ask myself a lot of those questions. And I didn't allow people to really ask me those questions, only when they got confused. And then the how, I kind of did it on the whim. I'm like, I'll go through phone books, I'll go over and go knock door to door. And I did phone books and knock door to door in all these places for 250 churches in a 60-day period. Didn't get anywhere because I didn't ask those deep-seated questions. I'm still having to ask myself questions. And when you're in a passion, you should be continually asking those questions and reevaluate so you can cultivate that passion better. So reverse engineer tip number 6, ask your 5 W's and your H. Tip number 7, a good network helps a lot. The great thing about 2021 is that you don't need to have a physical, tangible network, but a good network of like-minded people, your ideal client or entrepreneurs that are like you, or if you're working in the normal boardrooms, that people that are 9-to-5ers just like you are in your space, a good network helps a lot. It helps just as much as going over and getting a job as it goes over and changing your boardroom. You might be just changing your boardroom from one place to another. And you say, hey, I went from, like today, we have some people going from Washington, D.C. back to their own lives. If they have a good network, it helps them out a lot in their next goals. If you don't have a good network, it crashes. When I moved to Arkansas, I knew nobody at all. I moved down there with the hope and intention for one ministry that would see me in 12 to 18 months. That was not good planning. I really didn't know anybody. And even in the 18 months I was there, I maybe knew about a half a dozen to 24 people. And they weren't that deep of connections. So a good network helps a lot. So if you can take that time to go over and execute that, start building that. Sometimes it's better to plant where you're at. I didn't stay in Dayton, Ohio because I thought I couldn't connect with the clients because of my background. Military thing, mental health, that type of background. I won't get into the specifics. I found out afterwards, when I left active duty, that stipulation wasn't on me anymore. So all the clients that wanted to be my clients could now be my clients from the day I got out of active duty. And I had a network there. I should have leveraged it. It would have been a lot cheaper and everything else. The move would have been a lot easier and everything else. Probably still could have lived in base housing. So a good network helps a lot. Reengineer tip number 8, education opens doors. And I'm not talking about bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctorate degrees. I'm talking about overall education. Whatever you're passionate for, you need to do the research and see what education that you're needing for yourself to empower that passion. It might be some actual education in using, my military and my veterans, your Montgomery GI Bill, your tuition assistance if you're a reservist or a guardsman, or utilizing some type of scholarship things. It might be other education in the sense of like going to a course or going to take some leadership classes or going over and getting certified in something to then go over and leverage it. Or maybe you need to get, especially if you're in the IT world, you need the next certification. Those education opens doors, but do it wisely in that regard. Where you want to go get the education you need instead of the typical, oh, I'm 18 or I'm 25 or I'm getting out of the military, I need to go get a degree. You don't. You get a degree based on you reverse engineer and figure out what you're looking for. As me, as a behavioral consultant, as a war hero to superhero consultant, as a podcaster, I'm getting education from other podcasters. I'm doing workshops, I'm doing seminars. I'm going over and getting that type of education, the education that carries. But if I'm going to go over and say, want to become an electrical engineer, and that's my passion, then I need to go over and actually get a degree, a certification, so forth. So education opens doors, but choose that education wisely. I know people that have master's and doctorate degrees that are broke. I know people that have GEDs that are broke. I know people that have tons of real world education and they're broke. The right education and the right time that you go over and need. Sometimes you need to take some steps back. Sometimes you need to take some steps forward. Is there really a point? You got to figure that out. Where are you walking to? Especially when you're reverse engineering, where are you going? Reverse engineer tip number 9, do your homework. I didn't do much homework about Arkansas. I didn't do much homework about marriage counseling. I didn't do much homework about speaking and teaching and podcasting at the time. All those things, social media, I didn't do my homework. I didn't go over and do that. I just did things. Now, some entrepreneurs can go over and do things and things go over and happen, but that's not the norm. The reality is that if you do your homework, I could have found out like, hey, Arkansas is cheap and everything else, but the thing is that they might not go over and really want marriages reconciled. What if they have a high marriage success rate? And a lot of those more conservative states did. So are they going to relate to an ex-military guy coming in combat boots, khaki pants, and a button-down shirt? And when my opportunity to do homework, to visit the land and go spy on the land couldn't happen because of a financial expense of getting out of the service, I went over and said, I'm still going anyway. That's the door closed. If I can't go over and do the homework and I'm not authorized to do homework, maybe I need to repivot my life in that regard. So do your homework. Do your homework. Reverse engineer tip number 10, ask yourself this question. This is probably the next 3 tips are the most important. Ask yourself this question. Will you stick to your passion when trials, disappointments, revisions, and long suffering or endless waiting happens? We go in and we get a passion like, hey, I want to teach our business, or hey, I want to go help veterans, or I want to go over and work with nonprofits, or hey, I'm thinking about getting into ministry, or hey, I want to become an electrical engineer, or I want to get a bachelor's degree, or hey, I want this IT job. No matter what it is, will you stick to your passion when those trials come up? Finding out your education bill is 2 times as much because you're a new resident to the state and you're not getting state tuition, or disappointments of going over and expecting a $250,000 job and it goes away, or revisions of saying, is this your real audience? Is this the real calling of your thing? Or waiting year after year, or even sometimes decade after decade. I'm starting to get there now, helping you guys, starting to get there in a big way, starting to go there. And then sometimes you're going over, and I had to wait a few years. I even did that for my wife because I went over and my wife wasn't ready. So I had to set up things to make sure she was ready. And I was like, I don't know when she's going to be there. So will you stick to your passion when those trials, those disappointments, the revisions, the long suffering, the endless waiting, or any other thing you want to add to the factor, will you stick it out? If the answer is yes, it's a passion, it's a dream, it's a vision, it's a destiny, it's something that's meant to happen. If not, and you're like 3 revisions is enough, 2 years is too long, those types of things, then maybe it's not a passion. It's not a true passion as we're talking about. We're talking deeper than just a feeling of doing something regularly. It's about a vision, it's a dream, it's a destiny, it's something that a long calling of life, whatever term you want to call it. So will you stick to it when those things come up? Reengineer tip number 11. This one's huge. This one's hard, especially if you're more of my style. So if you relate to me, this is a hard question to ask. See where you want to be 20 years from now. That's the easy part. You're like, I want to be this place. I want to be an 8-figure business owner. I want to go over and make impact into thousands of veterans' lives. I want to help tens of thousands of veterans out of homelessness. I want to go over and have a network of hundreds of veteran TV shows that empower and enrich people. But the thing is, now you have to scale that back down to the first week of execution and draw out that plan, what you need to do to get there. Be very granular in this. Go narrow and go deep in the details is key. How do you execute it? What things do you need to do? What goals do you have to meet? What deadlines do you have to take? What systems do you have to learn? What processes? What education? Where does your family need to be? Where is your financial portfolio need to be? What's your credit score need to be? Go deep in this. It can be exhausting, especially if you get this thing real quick and you get really excited at an event. You're like, I'm going to go write a book. Writing a book can be very simple. Marketing, advertising, getting it out there, becoming a bestseller. Some of those processes will be easy. Others processes will be long and hard and very difficult. The great part is if you do all the planning and you find hacks to make things faster, great. But the thing is that you need to go narrow and deep and say, am I willing to put in that much granular effort? That's when you know it's a passion. You're willing to learn web design. You're willing to do admin work. You're willing to go do finances. You're willing to go work for 3 to 5 years to go over and make that happen. You'll make yourself a nest egg. You'll go over and earn the money. You'll do a side hustle. You'll go over and deliver pizzas. You'll work 6 jobs at once and still try to balance the family. You'll wait until your kids grow up, or you'll wait until they're in college, or you wait to go over and do that, and you'll cultivate the education. That's just real quick granular that I'm adding to. So go narrow, go deep in the details is key. And the last one, Reengineer tip number 12. Would you do it for free for the rest of your life? If you had to work a 9 to 5 job and quote unquote receive 1/2 to 1/3 retirement, I personally don't desire that. You might, and that might be your passion. But what if you had to go over and do your passion for free while working a job for fee in the sense of an hourly job? What if you had to go over and had to become an entrepreneur to take care of your family and you couldn't get hired in a regular job, maybe because of medical or whatever it is, or life circumstances? Would you do it for free for the rest of your life? That's when you truly know it's a passion, a dream, a vision, a destiny that's going to go over and serve. Would you do it for free? Would I continue doing this for free? Hell yeah. I love you guys. I want to serve you guys. I think about this stuff each and every day. I am at work at a job right now that I love the people, hate the work. Love the people, hate the work. But if I had to do this for free for the rest of my life to serve you guys, I would. And that's a question you need to ask for yourself. Would you do it free for the rest of your life, whatever you're offering that passion to people? Zig Ziglar had to go over and teach 3,000 times to go from free to fee. I'm not saying that's the strategy you need to go and follow, but he was willing to continue to do it for free until it went to fee. So would you do it for free for the rest of your life? If someone gave you an opportunity to go over and to do whatever it is, manufacturing, custodial, running a business, whatever it is, would you still do that for free for the rest of your life? If you would, then you know it's a passion. If you're saying like, if I don't get paid, I'm not going to go and do it, it's not a passion. Because we can just give you the same amount of money and you would do something else. You can tell when someone goes over and you say, and I've done this, I haven't done it literally yet, but I will do it eventually. But I've told people, I said, how much money do you need for me to hire you on? They said, one person said $81,000. I said, you need to be ready when I have that $81,000. I'll know if they're passionate about it or not. I will, because then they'll go over and do that. But they're still going to continue. But if you offer them nothing and you still offer them the opportunity, that's when you truly know it's gone over and they're passionate about it. Would they do it for free? I would. You guys call me, and if I had to do it for free and said, hey, I want you to teach in front of 10,000 people, it's totally free. I've had a TED Talk opportunity, and I still might have one. And the thing is that, and I was willing to sacrifice time and energy and everything else. I'm willing to do it for free. And if I had to do it for the next 50 years, if it goes over and serves you guys, I'll do it. So that's what you need to ask for your passion. All right. So that's pretty much about it. Woo, that was a long one. That was 30 minutes. Hopefully you guys were willing to stand up and watch it. If not, go over and watch it in the replay. Watch it on Facebook, watch it on Periscope, watch it on Twitch, and watch it on YouTube. Our superhero challenge of the day, which we have each and every day, and especially on our TV show where we go really in deep, War Hero to Superhero. Watch it for the in-depthness part, because we want you to go over and thrive from bedroom to boardroom. Your superhero challenge for today is, one second, there we go, share your reverse engineer tip, because I thought of these 12 throughout the day. That doesn't mean they're all right. They're not all wrong. They're just different ones. And we'd love for you to share to the community, share your reverse engineer tip that is helping you cultivate your passion. Woo, I need to go cultivate my spelling passion. Sometimes typing fast kills. But share your reverse engineer tip that is helping you cultivate your passion. We'd love for you to go over and share that. We want to thank you for all going over and joining and watching this each and every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on your best social media platforms that you love. And we welcome you to come back starting in February, the 1st. Let me check when that is. The 1st, that's the 3rd. On February 3rd at 7:30 PST, we're going to be coming back on live in season 2 of War Hero to Superhero. And starting that month, you'll see guests like Doton Bear, the Ranger producer, the Hollywood producer. You'll see his episode come out towards that end of that month, and other great veterans, military and first responders, that have changed their lives from war hero to superhero. So we want to thank you for going over and joining. We want to thank you for the time that you give us each and every time that we're on. Thank you for the likes. We'd love you to share, love you to subscribe. We'd love to take our YouTube to the next level. Let us get to 100 subscribers. That'd be fantastic. And also, we want to thank our sponsors. So thank you for joining, and thank you for our sponsors, which will be coming up in a moment.
Millions of men and women have served this great country. However, over 40,000 veterans sleep on the streets every night. 20 veterans commit suicide on any given day. Veterans have been left without medical services while they suffer from mental illness and addiction. They're dying alone. Join Armory Dog and the Veterans Project to help serve this forgotten community of heroes. Veterans is a place for our men and women who have served our great country, giving them a place to stay and rehabilitate in a safe and positive environment. Please help support the Veterans Project so that these men and women can get back on their feet and find their purpose for living. The Veterans Project will house 10,000 veterans, getting them off the streets, back into society, and utilizing their skills as they once used to serve our great country. Veterans Not Forgotten. Join us now.